Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the Bogey Free podcast for the Tournament of Champions. I'm your host, Evan Cheney, today joined by regular co-host Matt Jones and brand new co-host Anthony Amico. How you doing today, guys?
What's up, Ev? Good to be here. Pumped to do a little PGA. Nice little break from the foosballs.
Yeah,
Anything is yeah.
I was gonna say I'm fired up. It's season 3 for us, Ev.
Yes.
I
That's
was just
nuts.
thinking, I'm like, we were basically talking to nobody this time 2 years ago, and now we're up to like 7 people that listen. So we're moving up in the world.
Including one guy that just emails all the time. I miss
There's
him.
literally been
Yeah.
tens of people that listen to this now. It's really great.
It's better. Tens is fine. I'll take it. Make sure before we get into anything else, we'll get to the kind of house cleaning work here first. Make sure to follow us all on Twitter. I am at eChaney17. Matt is at Matt Jones TFR. Anthony is at AMICSTA.
Amixta.
I'm Meeksta. Yeah. My pronunciation game, you'll find out, is just.
Oh man,
unique.
I can't. I don't even know if you realize what you're in for with this, Amico.
Well,
but it's something special.
I'm ready.
But real quick before we jump into this week, I just want to talk to everybody about some changes for the show this year. Obviously, Amico is going to be on with us every week, and we're changing up the format a little bit. I feel like there's a lot of shows that do like exactly the same thing and go down the whole list and go from top to bottom. But the more that I've been sort of talking to people online and doing some research in the 3-week off season or whatever the hell it was,
yeah.
I've really been trying to think about this as more of like a game theory centric show. So we're going to be talking about the chalk options. I'll be doing the ownership projections for RotoViz this year. So we'll be kind of basing it off my projections. And then we'll talk some GPP pivots, wind down with some cash locks, and then call it a night. So it will be a little bit different, but we're hoping that we can get to the point and we can join you on one way of your commute instead of maybe both ways of your commute.
All right. So yeah, I guess with that all in mind, let's just talk about the course here. Anthony, I'll throw it to you. Talk about Plantation and what it has to offer.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a great scene, right? We're checking out Hawaii, but a 74, 52 yard par 73, Bermuda greens, birdie fest. I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, Jones. Like total birdie fest. The winter average last 5 years, 23.2 strokes under par. Just a score fest, right? Huge fairways. A little bit of wind, obviously, because we're right by the water. But for the most part, we're going to see a ton of scoring, and that's our focal point, I would say, this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Are there any stats in particular that you would look at to kind of evaluate your player pool? Obviously, we have a small player pool this week, but kind of whittle it down even further.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm looking at strokes gained on the par fives. I'm looking at proximity, 200 plus, and I'm looking at par three efficiency, 225 plus. All these statistics, just stuff I've got from doing some like regression modeling, using like basically year end -1 statistics and course performance. Some of it seems like a weird fit, like particularly like the par three efficiency. Like there's no long par threes on the course, but there is a couple short par fours, a couple par threes that are like in the 220 range. So it's like a good enough fit, gives us like a decent estimation of performance on some of those holes. So a big thing for me with a lot of these stats is that like it doesn't have to be like a perfect stat fit. It's about like what the stat tells you. Some of these statistics can incorporate like 2 or 3 different skills that matter. It's not really just about like what the stat tells you on its face.
Mm-hmm. All right, Matt, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, it's like Anthony said, it's wide open. You can pretty much just hit as far as you want. and we see that the guys who have a little bit more distance definitely have some edge here, but it's not like you don't just completely throw away like shorter guys, but it's an advantage if you have a little bit of length off the tee. So that's something I'll be looking for as we go through our list here.
Yeah, I do like the fact that driving accuracy is, I wouldn't say completely irrelevant, but it's not something we're looking at this week, which is good. It gives me some more confidence in a lot of these bomber types that, may be a little wild off the tee sometimes. All right, so let's talk about some cash game options. Let's start in the high tier here. Anthony, I'll throw it here to you first. We have a couple guys that we have written up. What do you want to add to, or just talk about some of these cash game options in the higher pricing tier?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think my approach this week is like a little different probably than it is for Jones. Like I don't necessarily want to play like a ton of cash on this slate. Like I don't really like the no cut events for cash. I'm probably going to play a lot more tournaments. But just in terms of like the guys who are going to be really owned, I mean, Dustin Johnson is obviously someone that everyone's going to play. Like I think most owned player in the field is a reasonable expectation. I won by like 8 strokes last year. He's awesome.
Yeah.
But I want to throw this back to Jones because I format. This is he changed the format of the show, so I kind of want to lean more on him. Jones, like what do you want to discuss kind of in this tier?
Yeah, so when I ran the first run through of the ownership projections, Koepka and Rahm came out as the highest at 9,500 and up. It's relatively flat, just because of obviously the nature of this week. Like you pretty much fit whoever you want for the most part. So I think typically we see during like no cut events, especially with as small a field as this, like you're never really gonna get like these expensive guys at like super low ownership. It's when we have more difficult decisions to make where the ownership can change a little bit and sort of concentrate in a couple of different places, but pretty flat overall up here. But like I said, Koepka and Rahm look like they should be the 2 highest in this range, with DJ and JT not far behind.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're just looking at those couple of guys, like I feel like Brooks, difficult to not ride Brooks, right? Like he was awesome last year, especially in the majors. Fits like a lot of the stats, at least decently. If you checked out my show like the other day, like I did some stuff on the regression trees and kind of players that fit. But Brooks is, top 20 in the par 5 strokes gained, 8th in proximity to the hole 200 plus, 7th in scrambling, 26th in total strokes gained from last year. So obviously really complete golfer. And I think that he's probably going to be, even though he's going to be chalky, like I feel like DJ will still be more owned even for the extra 800. And like for me, I'll just take Brooks, because I don't think the difference between the two of them is really that big. Right. DJ has the course history, obviously, but I feel like Koepka has like the same upside, basically, or a similar range of outcomes.
The only knock I have against Brooks Koepka is that I'm not a fan of his proximity stats, at least relative to the field. Other than that, I mean, he's obviously a fine cash game, or not cash game, but like it's a fine safe option. But it's just kind of the one knock, on him that I don't see on some of these other golfers in this tier.
Yeah, and I think like narrative wise too, like you can, like we all know Brooks would rather be playing baseball. So like this could just be like let's take a trip to Hawaii and screw around for 4 days on the course. Not that I'm really like completely like letting that make a decision for me, but it wouldn't surprise me if he just kind of like did whatever the first day and, came out and shot like a 74 and then just kind of coasted for the rest of the weekend. So you never know what's going to happen with guys like that. And this is not like a premier event. You really think of Brooks as like really working his way towards the majors more than anything else. Like he only made 19 starts last year. Like he just doesn't play a ton of golf because he just wants to show up to the majors and win and like keep doing whatever the hell else he does. So yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer Rahm. We just saw him win at the Hero, and I think like I don't know. I just think this is going to be his sort of bounce back year. So if I'm going to eat chalk up here, it would be with Rahm.
I mean, obviously, all these.
Rahm goat.
Yeah,
got to do
it. I mean, he can easily destroy this field. Not easily, but like he can easily do well in this field. I mean, these are all great golfers.
Right. Well,
right.
Until the end.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Don't you dare talk about some of my children on this list.
So then, like as we go down a little bit further, Bryson is obviously going to be very popular. He's already talking about leaving the flagstick in, which I just can't wait to watch this weekend and see him like inside 10 feet, taking advantage of the rule changes right away. It will be interesting to see if that works out for him. But he projects right now as the highest owned golfer for me in the entire field, with Gary Woodland, my lovely, beautiful Gary. Not too far behind. So those are sort of the two popular options. As far as I'm looking at it so far, are you interested in either of these guys, Amico?
Yeah, I mean, I like both. Both are top 5 in the strokes gained par 5. Both top 5 in 200 plus proximity. Both top 11 in good drives gained last year. And I'm a huge Bryson guy, so like I'm gonna be in on both. But I do have a feeling that I'm going to end up being a little underweight on Bryson. Like if he's going to be, if he's going to be 40% or 35% or something like that, I don't know if I want to go quite that high. I feel like, in this tournament, from like a DraftKings perspective, just from like a pure game theory perspective, you got to make some, you got to take some stands. I don't want to take like a full stand on these two guys. But I think underweight on Bryson's going to be probably where I land. I'm going to be underweight probably on Rahm also. So I just want to, there's a couple other guys that we'll talk about later that I'll be overweight on those guys to kind of make up for the gap.
Gotcha.
Dude,
what about
Bryson,
you, Ed? Do you like either of these guys?
Bryson's going to smash.
There he is.
So, I mean, because right now I have him as like my top golfer. I kind of just did a quick little mixed condition here in Fantasy National, and he's coming out as my top guy. And there's no reason to think that, like, I understand the game theory perspective, right? Because if you're gonna put multiple entries in a GPP or even a single entry in a GPP, fading the top golfer in the field makes sense, or not the highest owned golfer makes sense, right? But if I'm just saying, ranking all my guys for this week, whatever, Bryson's gonna come up on top just because he's top 5 in everything I'm looking at. Top 2 in opportunities gained and strokes gained par 5. I don't know. I think he just does really well in this field this week. I think the course just fits.
And I mean, we saw what he's capable of, right? Like this time last year, he was 99th in the world. He's number 5 right now. Like last 6 events, he had 3 wins. And I was just curious because I felt like he sort of came on strong at the end, and I wasn't really, he won the Memorial, obviously, but 1/3 of his starts resulted in a top 10 last year. Like it wasn't just at the end. I kind of felt that way just because it was just like DJ from 2 years ago, like of him just winning everything he showed up to. But he put together a really solid season last year, and I think if he can like just not be a complete robot, like he'll be okay this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about recent form too, like he's won 3 of the last 6 tournaments he's played in.
Right, exactly.
So he's clearly on fire, even though there's been a gap between tournaments, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like that's probably like a month ago.
Yeah.
Does that really matter? I don't know.
It could be a mental thing. Who knows?
He's got these rules. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. This whole rule change that he's like the only one that's trying to take advantage of this right now is is going to be really interesting, like for his psyche. I feel like it'll go it's either an extreme like advantage for him, or it's just going to break him in the beginning of the year. Like I don't think there's an in between for him.
Yeah. I mean, actually, let's break that down a bit, because there might be some people listening to the show here that might not know completely some of the rule changes that have been made from last year to this year. So Matt, if you can go over some of them.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of them aren't like they're trying to like limit the green reading books. You know, you see the guys walk around for 20 minutes around a green. But what they really did was change the drop rule, which I don't think should really affect anybody. You can drop it from your knee instead of your shoulder now, which is just like could I care any fucking less about this? Like
someone might call in.
like it has no bearing on anything. But I really do think that the flag stick, being able to leave the flag stick in when you're putting is actually going to be like, if Bryson has figured out some sort of edge there, I think it's going to be something that like other people are going to start doing also. I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about doing it or not doing it, but I think it'll be interesting to see if that there really is an edge to be had there.
I mean, like for me, like just as like a very, very poor golfer, when I think about that, I'm like, well, I can't, it's going to prevent me from overhitting a little bit. Like if there's like a lot of slant to the greens. I'm not saying it's the case here, but like if the green has some good slant, you can bang it a little harder. You don't have to worry about hitting over.
And it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because he's talking about doing it from inside 10 feet. In the last thing that I saw him talk about, which I would think, like in my brain, I would leave it in from further away for, like you're saying, like just hit it pure, hit it straight at it, and just make it like hit the flag stick and stop sort of deal. So I'm very curious to see, like he's obviously done like tests and like he probably has like, you know what I mean? Like he probably has like some like robotic putter that like he's just tracking results. Yeah, like he's insane. Like I'm very curious. If this ends up working for him, I'm just like fully on Team Bryson.
Well, you should just be on Team Bryson. Yeah. Team Bryson started when he was starring in those Microsoft commercials.
Yeah, when he was missing every cut and they were like pimping the surface. I'm like, maybe you could find somebody else to do. Like now it would be great.
You want to talk about buy low.
Right. Yeah, Microsoft, no, that was like low. He was like Smiley-esque during that stretch when he was on like every Microsoft commercial, and now he's like killing it and you like don't see him on anything.
That's interesting how that works out. Anyway, there are other golfers in this pricing tier, such as Gary Woodland, who I think is worth a mention.
Always on Gary. I'll talk about him at the end though.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Come on. I mean, if anybody's ever listened to the show, they know where he's going.
He's the sweet sauce at the end of the trail.
Just
all
chef's kiss. Just beautiful.
Anthony, you have guys you want to add here?
No, I think this part of the show, like I'll just talk about the guys that pop in the ownership, and then I'll talk about the guys I like later.
Yeah. So once we get below 7,500, Brandt Snedeker and Billy Horschel pop the most in the first run of the ownership for me. I definitely I get it as far as like, the course history fish will go after Snedeker because he's played well here. And Horschel finished the year pretty well, the regular season, and then he played well in China and Mexico. But and I saw Punter was touting Snedeker at like 70-1 before, so he's definitely getting buzz. But I just feel like I would rather not eat the chalk in the $7,000 range in a no cut event. That's just how I'm planning on playing it. What about you, Anthony?
No, I mean, first of all, game theory wise, I think that makes a ton of sense. But I don't even really get the Sneds thing because, I feel like he does this a lot. Like Sneds is the king of doing well at courses where he's not a good course fit. but he's not a good course fit. Like, he's like not good on the par fives. Not good. I mean, you did in the RotoViz column, your course preview, you mentioned that distance was important. Sneds has never really been like long off the tee.
No.
So I don't know. I mean, is he just gonna like outputt everyone at 7,400 as mega chalk? Like, he's a guy where I'd love to be like, oh well, no one's playing Sneds this week. Like, we should play Sneds.
Yeah, exactly.
But if everyone's playing him, like, I'm gonna unclick.
I can see that. I mean, I think here you definitely need a little bit more oomph in your drive.
Right. Yeah, he's 31st out of whatever this actually ends up being, 34 in driving distance.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not great, Bob.
Yeah. Although he looks good everywhere else.
Yeah, no, and he's weird, like he'll hit greens, like even if he's not the longest, like he's still, he's going to strike it well, and he's going to putt well. So I don't know. I just, if it's a matter of eating that much chalk if you're talking about a cut maker in a full field, then fine. But if you're talking about,
where are you projecting Sneds ownership wise?
Let me pull it back up. Right now, again, first run, I have him at around like a little bit over 22%.
Okay, that's too high.
But you also have to realize like there's maybe going to be 6 guys who are below like 12% in a field like this, just because the ownership has to go somewhere. Yeah, so that sounds like a lot.
But if 22% of the field is going to be on a guy that's not going to be able to drive, like for a bomber's course,
right?
If he can't bomb, I don't know if I want to partake in a 22% owned golfer there.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, I have him 14th, like 14th highest, but nobody really in the 7,000s or below 7,500 is anywhere near him.
Yeah.
So, he's the chalk of this group, not necessarily like the crazy highest owned in the entire tournament, but he's it'll be interesting to see if that actually shakes out, because sometimes these guys in this range get buzz and then everybody outsmarts themselves, and he might end up being low owned at, you know what I mean? Like he could come in at like 15%, and then I would have much more interest in him than if he's at 25%.
Okay. Anyone else we want to talk about in terms of chalky golfers in this?
No, let's get some pivots going.
All right.
I need the Amico takes. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I want to hear this. So we'll start with our 9,500 and up guys. Anthony, let's hear some hot takes.
Well, I mean, it's not a hot take because he's just a good golfer. But like Justin Thomas has won here before. He was 3rd in strokes gained in the par 5, 14th in proximity, 200 plus, 2nd in total strokes gained last year. And I just feel like he's not getting the love up top versus like a DJ or a Brooks. I mean, you could speak on that, maybe Matt, from the ownership model, but I don't know. I feel like Thomas is like somewhat easy to overlook when it's a no cut and the pricing isn't super tough and you can fit DJ for 500 more. And I just, there's variance in his outcomes, obviously. Like his 2 non-wins were both first in T20, but he has the upside that you want. You get 4 rounds of him. I feel like this is the kind of place where, like, even if he starts out shaky, like he can figure it out, and obviously has the length as well. So I really like JT here.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like off the tee, Justin Thomas actually beats Dustin Johnson in like every other relevant metric that you won here. I mean, he has better.
Obviously agree.
Yeah, he has a better approach game, better proximity game, slightly more efficient on par 5s.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see the argument for JT here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna tell me that you get 4 rounds of Justin Thomas, like I don't think I've ever played a slate that was a no-cut event where I didn't play Justin Thomas if he was in the field.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just there's too much upside there. Like we saw what happened. We saw when he got hot in Hawaii a couple of years ago, and he won both events and shot 59 over at Wailea. Like it's like he's just a scorer. Like that used to be the knock on him, that he was just a scorer and he couldn't grind. But he can do both now, and he's definitely going to be at a discount, I think, from Brooks ownership wise. And like you said, Amico, like if people are going to have the $500 to spend,
right?
So like it's not like it's this tight field where you really have to worry about stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes a little bit under owned. The other guy that I think through my first run of ownership is actually going to be the lowest owned of these top 5 guys is McIlroy, which again, like if he's one of the most like naturally gifted golfers that you'll ever see, and if he's right now, then you're getting him at a discount ownership wise, and he could very, very easily win in a field like this. Like we've seen him win majors and stuff before. So like we know that he has that in his range of outcomes. So I think that if you're just going like, you know what, I'm going to avoid the ownership and go for the lowest owned guy in this range, like being able to play Rory McIlroy is a pretty good option there.
Yeah, and I feel like Rory, like the only area he really struggles that I'm looking at is like the par 3 stuff, but I feel like so much of that is just tied to his putting. Like his iron game is really good. So, yeah, I mean, we know he's super talented, like you said. So I have my like first run through, I have a good bit of Rory. So yeah. I'm with you on that.
We have just real quick, we have Ryan in the chat asking about if this is really a bomber's course with the elevation and everything. And it's when you look at the in tournament like correlations between the driving stats, driving distance explains like 22% of DraftKings points, and driving accuracy explains like 1%. So when I say a bomber's course, like obviously we talked about it, the fairways are wide open. They're not particularly difficult to hit, but it is just a matter of like, if you are out driving everybody, you're going for 2 on the extra par 5, and you're going to have more birdie opportunities. So while people can overcome it, like we know Snedeker can overcome that. We talked about that before, but overall, if there's a tiebreaker, it's distance.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's a good take there. Going on down, any other guys in this top tier that really scream pivot option?
I think we hit them all.
Yeah, it's a small group. I mean,
yeah,
really do.
Just want to make sure we got everyone there. So we'll move on down to our $7,500 to $9,400 tier. Who are we liking in this little area? Start with you, Anthony.
I mean, I love Paul Casey.
Yeah,
professional golfer. Can we say that? Professional golfer. I was really surprised to see him priced at $7,900 because I feel like he really consistently comes through on like the big fields, the majors, all that stuff. I know this is a small field, no cut, but I just a really good course fit. I mean, 9th is 4th in par 3s from 150 to 175, 15th from 225 plus. So, really kills the short holes. Iron game is really good. 2nd in 200 plus proximity, 13th total strokes gained. And he putts really well from in close. 11th in strokes gained putting between 5 and 10 feet last year. So really does, hashtag all the things. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's a guy that's traditionally extremely chalky, especially at this price. So I'm just going to take advantage, and I'm going to be pretty overweight. He's probably going to be one of the highest on guys I have this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm not like a
Paul Casey truther.
No, like I love Paul Casey when he's this price, like when there's a cut, obviously, because like he just has so much cut equity. He gets knocked a little bit for maybe not having like the highest scoring upside from what we actually want. Like obviously he's an excellent golfer and can perform well and grind out tournaments and stuff like that. But he's about average in this field in DraftKings points last year, so it's not something that's going to get me off him. And if he's going to be, as of right now, outside of Matt Kuchar, he's the next lowest owned guy in this range. I think that you could definitely tell yourself a story to get on him pretty heavily. The rest of the ownership is pretty flat, but like I said before, like Bryson and Gary are definitely the highest owned in this range. Lower than them, I think Patrick Reed is probably just gonna like come out and just like really be on a mission this year. Like, I know it's narrative-y, but after everything that happened at the Ryder Cup, like, I just feel I'm not a fan of him personally, but I would not be surprised if he just went on a tear to start the season. And he definitely has the scoring upside, the approach game to do it. Like, he can get pretty dangerous when he's in his zone. Like, we saw that at the U.S. Open when he went low when everybody else was shooting like 80. So I think it could be interesting to get some Patrick Reed. He's not low owned, but lower owned than some of the other guys in this range.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my boy Webb Simpson. Webb Simpson is like my just ultimate kryptonite because he always fits the stat models. But with no cut, like, I feel like a lot of the risk is taken out of Webb Simpson because we know that he can score. We know that, like, when he gets hot with the putter, he's going to he can go really low.
Right.
And 8,500 for Simpson, not too expensive, I don't think. I'm honestly not even really. I don't even really care that much about price because I feel like the pricing overall isn't. I don't know. It's pretty fair prop. Like, you can fit everybody.
Yeah.
And the only guys guys really have to worry about it, I feel like, are the guys who are just really low, right? Like, all the guys who you're like, oh man, I don't think this guy can win. Like, they're all 6,500 and less anyway. So, like, just pick the other guys that you think, like, are capable of winning the tournament. And I mean, Simpson's T3. I think he's always in play in something like this, especially small field.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Do we have any other takes here in this pricing range?
Not up there, no. I don't.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Because I do have a nice take for the sub 7,500 range.
All right, hit it. And why don't you start us off there?
His name is Scott Piercy, and I think he could top 10 here.
Oh boy.
Oh, I mean, top 10 out of 34, right?
See, I like to sound like I have some kind of good hot takes. But no, I mean, he's got the approach game. He can gain some opportunities for himself. His proximity's fine. The only issue I have is that he's really not terribly efficient when it comes to his par 5 game. 26th in the field in that statistic this week. But if he can get that together, I think he can certainly pay off his value in a GPP.
Yeah.
Right, being a decent value play. I don't know what his ownership's going to be, but I can't imagine it'll be too high because I don't think people are rushing their computers to be like, I want to roster Scott Piercy. But I could be wrong there.
Yeah, as far as like under 7,500, the two guys I mentioned earlier will be definitely higher owned than him. Like, you'll definitely have Aaron Wise will be higher owned. Keegan will be there. He and Piercy and Kevin Na are like the closest together, right around like 12% that I have them right now. So, pretty low owned overall for this kind of an event.
So that's all you need. You just roster Scott Piercy, watch him go off, and then you can roster all the good chalk and be fine.
He's like, I've never gotten that guy right. Like, I was all over him. I think it was the Safeway this year. I think it was the Safeway. And just
when I first started playing DFS golf, when I first started playing DFS golf, Piercy was on like what had to be like the longest cut make streak of his career. And like, I didn't really watch golf when I first started playing DFS. I was just like, Scott Piercy good? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I think this guy's a good golfer, and then he just like missed like 4 of his next 8 cuts, and I was like, this guy's.
Yeah, that was when he was like, he like got all the way up to I think like around like top 25 in the world at one point. He's like back down to 152 now, but he's definitely he can definitely get on some streaks, and we saw him play well in like the little swing season that we had here. So
Although,
I like that. It's not bad.
Although I will give a knock on myself here because I'm looking at his history here, and I know you hate course history, so take everything with a grain of salt. Last time he played this tournament was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
in
'cause he
2016.
doesn't win tournaments.
Yeah,
I mean,
direct correlation.
yeah, but I just I was trying to figure out like when was the last time he was in this. He played abysmally when he was here. He
Yeah,
lost
he's not
3.8
always that good.
strokes. I mean, he lost 3.8 strokes. How much off the tee? He only lost half a stroke off the tee, which, I mean, it's not good, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So,
All right. Well,
there's your Scott Pierce.
You came in really strong with that take, and it turned into like he might be in the top third of the field, and he sucks here. So
People watching are like, so does Evan like Scott Pierce?
I know. I was like, shit, you're convincing me otherwise.
I mean, that's just my way of saying I like him, but I have my own self doubts. Anyway, what do you guys think here?
Amico, you got some hot ones? Because I think Evan knows where I'm going.
Oh, I know exactly where your thoughts.
I mean, I love Keegan. Maybe you don't know, but I mean, Keegan is my dude.
This is a never Keegan show, Amico. I did not see this in your resumes. we got to talk about it.
I put it in really small font so I can get on the show and tout Keegan. I mean, I just don't see like between him and cover your ears, Jones. This is blasphemy for you. I just don't see the difference between him and Gary Woodland. Like for the 700.
I hope everybody's enjoying Amico's first and last appearance on the show.
I mean, listen, he can't putt, but like the other stuff is pretty similar to a guy like Woodland. I don't know. And we know that you can be a little more variant off the tee here and still be successful. So, Bradley maybe like spraying a little more than Woodland doesn't really matter that much to me. Has a ton of scoring ability. He's really good on the par fives. He has length. Really good with the irons. 17th on 200+ yard proximity. So like for me, I look at a guy like Keegan and I'm like, okay. I mean, again, game theory wise, for this kind of a tournament, his probabilities to finish like in the top 50th percentile, top 25th percentile, top 10th percentile, like those probabilities match what I have for Woodland and what I have for a guy like Bryson. So. I'll just take the ownership discount and the overall salary discount and play a guy like Keegan. And, if I just play him in some of these same lineups that people are playing Bryson and Woodland, like I can just leave the salary on the table and I end up with like a pretty unique lineup. So that's kind of my approach. I know that this is a never Keegan show, but sometimes you got to Keegan. He can't be cut. I mean, that's like no cut events are made for Keegan Bradley. Because he's just a birdie bogey guy.
Yeah, when he goes like 64-84 to miss the cut, there's nothing worse.
I've seen it all live.
I get it. I'm just never. I think I could probably say that I've never rostered him ever. Like I haven't even been burned by him. I just know what he does, and I just can't.
Whoa.
I just can't take it.
You've never. I can't even take you serious as like a DFS golf tout.
I don't think I've ever rostered him.
If you haven't haven't full tilted a Keegan ejection, when he was like first round leader, I don't think I can take you seriously. That's like the ultimate first round leader miscut. Like he's the GOAT at that.
Oh, he has to be.
And he's done it too many times, and I hold no grudges.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
That's my favorite.
I'm trying to be forward thinking, but I can't get around Keegan.
No, it's just my favorite thing about like the Keegan Bradley fantasy fans.
Yeah.
That they will stick by him through and through. And I have to respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I talk to you about Kevin Na, is that acceptable? Like
yeah, that's fine.
Good putter, 5 to 10. Basically just like an average golfer. That he's super average, I feel like, but again, go with the 200+ proximity. That's the most important statistic in my in all the regression work that I'm doing, to finish in the top 10 percentile. So if you want to be one of the top 3 or 4 golfers here, you pretty much have to be top 20 in that 200 plus proximity, and now has it. So again, no cut event where you're going to have to play one of these like sub 7K guys, not named Billy Ho, if you want to like differentiate yourself a little bit. And I feel like can do that, and has the upside.
Yeah, for sure. And not only that, but it's an underrated thing in these birdie fests, like having a good short game that will just save you and keep you in it and not be making bogeys when everybody else is making birdies. Like there's a lot of two-stroke swings when you're bogeying these easy par 4s and some of these par 5s. So I definitely get that. The short game is there for sure. I mean, Evan, there's another Kevin that I'm looking at, right? Like,
oh God,
come on. If you're gonna tell me, come on, Kevin Tway on this kind of course, and he's just like completely swagged out from winning like a couple months ago. Like the confidence is going to be through the roof. The hangover's over. Like it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait.
I think he can tread water in this field.
No, you're an insane person.
That's as much as I'm giving you.
I'm with you, Jones. I like him too. So I do not. I'm all Kevin this week. I'm pro Kevins.
There we go.
I think one thing to note too is that like on a field like this where it's 34 golfers, assuming that no one actually clicks like Phil, Tiger, or Rose, like you're probably gonna need like at least the top 3 guys, depending on like who they end up actually being. But you pretty much need to have like 1, 2, 3, and then like 3 other guys inside like the top 8 or so,
right?
To win a DraftKings tournament. So like these guys, like I think at this point, like in a field this strong, like obviously the guys who win, like the guys who top 3, like for the most part, they're going to come in like that upper salary area, like the 10,
right.
the 10, 5, 11 down to like 8K or something like that. So like your guys underneath, like these like sub 7K guys, like we're not looking for them to necessarily win. Like we just want them to finish inside the top 10, and then that gives you a chance to do it. So I think that's got to kind of be your focus here.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
All right. Any other takes for the sub $7,500 range?
No, I mean just play all the Kevins and play Keegan Bradley.
Profit.
Right. So let us move on to our final segment of the show. We will call it Cash Locks, even though many of us are probably not playing cash this week.
Oh, if you're not playing cash this week, you're an insane.
Well, tell me why I'm wrong.
This is the ultimate week to play cash.
Man.
Why?
I want to hear
There's
this.
34 golfers. Like the margins are going to be so thin.
Yeah,
like
so just pick the right ones.
If you play
Very
NASCAR, if you play DFS NASCAR week to week, this is the normal week. So you know what? I kind of have to side with Matt here.
I have had like the most success in like shorter, smaller fields cash games. Like just throw a couple into like a few, just do like 3-mans or 5-mans and a couple double.
I'm sorry. So my question is like, is it profitable because like there's just enough guys like making the wrong plays, or like is it profitable just because like you happen to hit like the right lineup? You know what I mean? Like is it like a prove it kind of thing, like it is for football, where it's like, oh, like we think all these guys are going to be chalk, but you got to like make your opponents prove it, or is it more like there's just small edges that you get? I don't know, just
I think there's enough people who are going to be like, oh, well, you have to play like Satoshi or Ted Potter so that you can get to 2 bit. Like you'll be shocked if you scroll through like the double up lineups. You'll be amazed at how many people try to get too cute with like all these cheap guys and just whiff on everything. Like they'll go to say like 3 guys below 7,500 to try to get up to the top and just whiff, and just like they'll just throw in GPP lineups.
Okay.
If you go balanced in a no cut event in cash, you are going to be ahead in most situations, I think. But that's just me. All right,
How many
Nico,
Kevins do I need in cash this week?
hit us with
Well,
your two dudes. Who are you going 100% on?
Going JT and Casey. Those are my guys.
Nice.
Locking them in.
Nice. Yeah, I will. I've already built all my lineups, and Gary Woodland and John Rahmer and all of them. So those are my guys.
This might be the alcohol talking, but I think Bryson and Scott Piercy are my 100% locks.
I mean, Bryson makes sense. The Piercy thing is obviously the
I have. I play
the tens of viewers are just confused. They're like, he tells me he may like top 15 in a 30-man field. Then he says maybe
10.
he won't. Now he wants him 100%. Like I don't.
But I'm confident in the play. I'm confident enough in the play that Scott Piercy will do just well enough to make the optimal lineup. And I play single entry GPP normally, so I think it's the perfect play.
I respect it. I just think it's funny. That's all.
All right. That'll do it for us. This has been the very first bogey-free show of the 2019 season. Make sure to follow us on YouTube at bogey-free. There's no ad on YouTube, at least I don't think. Where else? iTunes. Make sure to follow, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes as well, bogey-free. And if we are not winning all the money this week, we hope you guys do. So good luck in your contests this week.
All right, see you.
Peace.